Hi, welcome to the PointSense Plant 16.5 tie-in point routine video. We decided to make this video because this tool has changed quite a bit in this release, and there are a lot of new features and new methods that can greatly enhance the results that you received in earlier versions. So we're going to start right here with this tool here. This is the tie-in point routine. You'll see it in your PointSense Plant ribbon. If you're going to do this directly in Autocad, I recommend using scan navigation mode. You can also use VirtuServe as well. We'll go through both options. So for the scan navigation, just make sure that you've created your scan labels. Choose the Create Scan Labels Recap option. Then we're going to go here to turn scan navigation on. And if you can't see the sphere that you need, you can always hide the point cloud here and then find the exact location that you want. After that, just go ahead and turn the points back on. Okay, so if we're going to do this directly out of AutoCAD, what I recommend is zooming into the area of concern. Make sure that you get a decent vantage point on it because we're going to need to make selections directly on the flange. You also want to verify the results as you go, so it's a good idea to get your perspective close to the flange that you're concerned with. Next, we're going to go ahead and start the Fit Tie-in Point routine. You can see it right here in the ribbons. Go ahead and click this button. And you'll see here that we have all of our flange options currently available in our active set at this time. This will get narrowed down as we make selections so that the software can actually filter out choices that don't match what's in the cloud. If you don't see any options here at this point, you need to go ahead and go to Edit KPM, make sure you have a catalog loaded, and make sure that your active set has the flanges in it. So we'll start with the axis definition options. Please keep in mind that I will be showing you all three options for the axis definition, but you only have to choose one. You see here on the left we have the option to pick 2 points going into the flange. This is a good choice if you have a decent length of pipe going into the flange. So what I can do is click this button and then just make sure your snaps are on and you pick 2 points in the direction going to the flange. Now it drew a pipe here temporarily. You grab that from the catalog and you'll notice that my matching flanges has already been filtered down to only the 6-inch option. That's because the software detected it's a 6-inch pipe, so it knows it can only be a 6-inch flange connected to the pipe. This pipe will go away at the end. Right now we're just using it to determine the nominal size as well as the axis going into the flange. The second option is to do an axis by cylinder, but in a more piping specific way to describe it. I would say that this is where you would use the flange outer diameter, and picking points along that will actually give you a different type of axis that matches the same axis we got from the 6-inch pipe. So to do this option here, click the middle button and just click points along the flange OD. You can do that here or in VirtuServe, obviously, whichever you are most comfortable in. It requires 3 points, but I always tell people to give it as many as you feel comfortable with. If a point is kind of on the edge and you're not sure about it, then you don't have to worry about that, but just give it a minimum of 3 to 6 points on that flange outside diameter. When you're done, hit enter, and you'll see these blue lines. This is just to show you the region that your points were chosen from. The final option here is to do an axis by circle. So to do this, you really just need to pick 3 points on any circle or weld or however you want to do it. And you can do more than 3 if you like. Now, I don't really like this option because I don't think it's accurate enough. You have to zoom into a very specific point. With VirtuServe, it does get more useful because you can sort of target very specific points much easier. But I think the most useful option is going to be this middle flange OD option. And the reason I say that is because you don't always have a pipe going into the flange, so this option will always work. Now the second option here, now that we have an axis, is to pick a plane on the flange. Now in this case, this will usually be front of face or back of face, and this depends on the situation in the field. If it's an exposed nozzle, obviously front of face would be perfect. In this case, and in most cases for my opinion, back of face is going to be the best option. So you can either choose it now or switch it later, but I just go ahead and change it to back of face. Then I'm going to click here, and now the software wants me to click points on the back of face. And after we do this here, I am going to show you the same technique in VirtuServe, and you'll see it's a little bit faster because you don't have to sit here and snap to certain points. But when you're done, you hit enter again. Then we're going to highlight this object and say copy thickness of selected flange. This is only necessary if you're doing back of face. If you do front of face, you do not need this. Now you'll notice that the flange is actually going away. That's just because of the order that I did things. If this happens, just click this swap direction button and you'll see it flips around to where it should be. Now at this point, we already have the flange. The green line work and the blue line work is going to be here in the keep defining graphic in almost every case. I leave this unchecked. I don't think we need that. And you also have the option for text tag or plant object. The plant object is the 3D model, so you almost always want that put in. And the text tag is that arrow coming out to show the direction, and it also will label with a coordinate, a horizontal roll direction, and a vertical tilt direction. So if I were to hit OK here, you'll notice that I get my coordinate, there's my tilt, and there's my roll. Now you also get the arrow, and you also get the cubit plant object. With this object here, you can do anything that you could have done previously with our software. That includes using it to start or continue a walk the run, as well as converting it into a Plant 3D object if you want to just use that as a tie-in point to continue your new design piping from. So now if I show the same thing using the VirtuServe method, let me just erase this stuff here. We're going to start the routine the same way, and then we're going to choose an option. Now this is definitely a good place to do the flange outside diameter option. Then we're going to bring up VirtuServe, and usually this would be in a second monitor, but for this here we're just going to keep it stacked on one. And we're going to just kind of zoom into the flange here. Now, this is the main reason I do prefer VirtuServe, is because if you ever switch to intensity gray, you get a much higher level of detail. And as you can see, I can click as many points as I want on this flange OD. Now, it'll take a second for the points to catch up because it's applying them to all scans. That's an option in my version of VirtuServe. But as soon as you have those points chosen, you hit enter, and it's a much more reliable option. So then I'll go to click here, back to VirtuServe, and now we're just clicking points on the back of face. You really don't have to give it too many since this is just a plane fit. And then when you're done, hit enter. And then all I need to do here is say swap direction, and then if it is back of face, go ahead and choose it, highlight the flange, and copy thickness for selected flange. Now if you have multiple options here in your matching flanges section, you will be able to get a preview as you highlight them. That's very common, especially if you have raised face and ring type joint, that kind of stuff in your active set. This is also a very good way to determine the flange rating for a specific line, or if there's a spec break, you can have multiple specs in your active set, and then you will see multiple ratings in your matching flanges section. So here, I really don't need the text tag. I just want to have the plant object. I'll say OK. You can see here it's a cubit plant object. If I need this to be Plant 3D, for example, then I can just go to my export option. We'll go ahead and choose the Plant 3D option here. Choose the flange. Now we have a Plant 3D flange that we can continue our piping from. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more PointSense Plant videos.